According to medicalnewstoday.com, the top 10 leading causes of death in the United States are heart disease, cancer, chronic lower respiratory disease, accidents, Alzheimer's disease, diabetes, influenza or pneumonia, and finally kidney disease. So when a person dies, we will pretty much know what killed them when the autopsy is complete. What if your death is related to something that is so obscure that your death is diagnosed as something else? In this case, you will watch as a family in the span of 31 years will have lost 6 members without knowing what exactly is killing them. Tonight, on Final Thought, Unsolved Mysteries. A high school dance was interrupted by a sudden medical emergency. The person needing medical help was 15-year-old Frank Santos Jr. Sadly, within an hour, Frank passes away. Sadly, Frank Santos Jr.'s death was the most recent blow of bad luck that the Santos clan has had to endure. Ever since 1960, 3 generations of Santos have been falling to this mysterious illness. This story starts with Frank Jr.'s grandfather, who passed away at the age of 34. According to Donatella Leonardo, it all started when Francisco Santos started to snore in his sleep. Donatella remembers as if it was yesterday. She said that Francisco never snored in his sleep before. Donatella tried in vain to wake her husband. Sadly, Francisco Santos never woke up. It was originally believed that Francisco's death could have been a stroke or even heart failure. Donatella was left with the task of raising their 7 children. Sadly, little did Donatella realize that this was only the beginning of a series of tragic events that would come to claim multiple members of the Santos family. Donatella remarried and the family moved to Northern California. However, fate would continue to play its cruel game. This time, it was one of the females of the family. 27-year-old Doris Santos suddenly died when she was found by one of her brothers. Donatella recounts how the brother that found Doris came to her bedroom and told her that something is wrong, that Doris won't wake up. Donatella, having an idea what is wrong, jumped out of bed and rushed to her daughter. Donatella told Steve Santos to contact the police and a priest immediately. The doctors determined that Doris died of congestive heart failure, also known as CHF. CHF is the heart's inability to circulate blood throughout the body. The doctors saw no link between the deaths of Doris or her father, Francisco, who died 20 years earlier. 2 years later, Ronnie Santos, who was the youngest child of the Santos family, started to experience chest pains. At this point in Ronnie's life, he was engaged to his high school sweetheart, Dana. It was determined that Ronnie had a virus of the heart muscle and that could be controlled with the right kind of medication. Ronnie was leading a productive life while taking the medication. He would even enjoy in weekly baseball games with his friends. At one game, Ronnie was talking to a teammate while leaning against a baseball bat. Suddenly, Ronnie collapsed. Dana rushed to his side. Sadly, Ronnie was another victim of the Santos family tragedy. Ronnie Santos was pronounced dead at the hospital. This time, it was determined that his death was related to cardiomyopathy. Cardiomyopathy is an irregular heartbeat caused most likely by a virus. Ronnie was 24 years old. Dana couldn't believe that Ronnie was gone. He was so young and active. Sadly, a year later, fate would continue its cruel game. Frank Santos, age 33, was the oldest child of the Santos family. Annette Soares, Frank's wife, tells how she remembered that her and Donatella were out shopping when they were contacted. Donatella, knowing what it was, looked at Annette and said that they had to go to Frank. Sadly, Frank passed away while watching TV. Donatella couldn't believe it. Now her oldest child was dead. It wasn't supposed to be like this. The oldest child isn't supposed to die before the parent. As with Ronnie before Frank, Frank's death was determined to be cardiomyopathy. The doctors were unable to determine what kind of virus Frank had. This would end up leading to the deaths of 2 more members of the Santos family. Ralph Santos was the next casualty of the illness that has been ruthlessly cutting down members of the Santos family. As Francisco and Doris, Ralph lay down to rest and never woke up. This time, it was determined that Ralph had a viral infection of the heart. Ralph left behind a wife and 2 young sons. 4 years later, 15-year-old Frank Jr. passed away at the school dance. The illness has now moved on to the next generation of the Santos family. Frank Santos Jr. was buried next to his uncle Ronnie, father, Doris, and Ralph. Steve Santos, the last surviving male of the Santos family, is constantly worried about how long he has left. He has watched the disease as it claimed almost all of his siblings. Update. Thanks to faithful viewers of Unsolved Mysteries, people started to contact the call center and let them know what the disease was that was systematically wiping out the Santos clan. It was Brugada syndrome. Brugada syndrome is a genetic disease due to knowledge of what was claiming the family. Frank Jr.'s brother now has an implant to monitor his heart. The rest of the surviving family has been prescribed a medication. As of this date, no one in the Santos immediate family has been claimed by this disease anymore. It truly is an amazing what we don't understand in our world. We think we know everything, and something comes and knocks us down a peg or two. We may claim to have cured many diseases, but there could always be a time that something new rears its face, and we will be unaware as to cure it. Till that day happens, live life as best as you can. Enjoy every moment you have, because there's a chance it could be your last. Until next time, stay tuned for another case from Final Thought, Unsolved Mysteries. If you're a new viewer, and you like what you saw, please leave a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and if you want to be alerted to when I release new videos, please click on the bell.